This is the executive Axiom number 10, and uh, I've called this one Focus on Quality and Excellence. And it kind of goes along with Axiom 8, which was, looking at, make sure you look at leading, not lagging measures, things that are going to come ahead. But I thought I ought to put an axiom in here that was bigger picture from an organizational perspective, because there are a lot of things that are happening to organizations today that make me shake my head. But there there have been other government programs and things that have entered. But um, let's talk about quality and excellence first, which is basically, you want to manufacture products that people want and that last. And you also want to provision services, where customers have a great experience, so they want to come back to you. So that's really what I'm talking about when I'm talking about quality and excellence from an operational definition standpoint. But recently, there's always distractions, right? We have labor, we've got regulations, we've got competition, we've got profit margins. You know, we have earnings releases, in case of some of the larger companies that I've worked with. But um, now we have large, especially the larger organizations have ESG and DEI, and these things are focused on carbon footprints and good governance and social justice and renewable energy and sustainable supply chains, and all of these things kind of make up this ESG DEI world. And you know, many companies have already gone through the process of shedding their DEI personnel. You got, look at the tech companies. Um, they hired in all of these diversity people to facilitate making things better. I could tell you, universities, it's gone insane. They've hired a bunch of diversity people that are in there, and maybe they can afford to do that. Everybody's complaining about tuitions, but obviously that's not a problem. But for companies, and I've talked about this many times in many other videos, there's the need to keep people who create value for the organization. And they're usually the customer facing people, the sales, the contact center people, the people that interact with customers. And everybody else really is there to do only one other thing, which is enable those that create the value in an organization. And if they're not doing that, then they really have no value. And what you're seeing, with these large swath of layoffs that have started to happen in tech companies, to all of a sudden now, because interest rates are higher and capital isn't as free as it used to be, we don't have money to play around with. You actually have to deliver. And some of these things that happen with ESG and DEI are not anything that companies should be involved with, in my opinion, unless it's something that makes sense for their business. And there are some cases associated with that, but I have found zero evidence in any of the large companies that have either researched or worked with where these programs are making better products, better services, in any of the actions they take. What they have done is create a lot of extra cost in the organization. And whereas universities apparently don't have to compete with each other, the companies do have to compete. And, some have a competitive advantage for now. And once they discover, either through the economy getting worse or whatever, or more competition as even AI, there's a few out there, but everybody's going to start entering because it's very profitable. This is where a lot of the capital's flowing now. And, so there's going to be a lot where capital's flowing. Guess what? You have a lot of slack, and we got a lot of people out there that, you know, want some of these programs, but you got to really take a step back and say, you know, are these things creating value for my organization? My experience is they're not. Like I said, they're adding to costs, and people want diversity. What they really want is diversity of thought, diversity of perspective, and that has nothing to do with a lot of things that diversity programs are focusing in on today. And what does matter is skill competency. Now I hear a lot about merit pay and things at that point, things like that. Merit to me means skill. So if you have some competency in a skill, that's what really matters. You need engineers to do engineering things. You don't just pull somebody off the street and say they check a box for my DEI program. And I've seen this too, for things just to fill, check a box and whatever they're trying to accomplish. Now they're having to revert back on some of these things because now all of a sudden their stock price is down. They're not able to compete. The capital's not flowing as easily. So all of these things you have to get now back to focus on quality and excellence. And a lot of these things have come from government overreach, and you need to compete globally in the coming years. And other countries are not hand tying themselves to worrying about the ESG types of things or DEI, and I don't know how you can compete with that. Now we've already made the mistake in this country of outsourcing our manufacturing, and by virtue of outsourcing our manufacturing, now we're going to have to find a way to bring manufacturing back into the United States or friendly countries that are out there. So this need to compete globally. How do you compete? You focus on quality and you focus on excellence in what you're manufacturing or provisioning. And I've seen the regulations. There's the talk about these 9,000 oil leases, but understand that just having the lease does not, there are so many regulations associated with the government in order to get, to actually drill on the land, for oil, all of the approvals that have to happen. I mean, there's just a litany of things that happen, and it takes a while. And where it's really bad is in mining, for metals. I mean, it's virtually impossible in a lot of places in this country that make it very difficult for you to be able to do mining types of activities. And if you want this country to be green in the United States, and let's talk about this, because you need silver, and you need nickel, and you need lithium, and you need cobalt. You need a whole slew of different types of metals. And in order to get those, you're going to have to mine. And, everybody's in a rush now to get, green as fast as we can on one hand. And then on the other hand, we're just completely ignoring the fact that in order to accomplish this thing over here, we need to mine a lot of metals. And that's going to take a heck of a lot of, oil, because the machines that mine are typically going to require oil or fossil fuels in order to get these materials out of the ground. So the faster you can get them through, the better off you are. And the other thing is, in all this talk about bringing manufacturing back into the United States, we're not set up for that right now. With regards to manufacturing, we've got so many, everything from lawsuits to the regulations that are out there. They're going to prevent us from moving manufacturing back into this country, and we need to, for everything from pharmaceuticals to clothes to things that we use on a daily basis that we bring in from other countries at this point. So that's my message this week. I maybe got off on a little bit of a tangent there, but I want people to kind of put their brain back on here that, if you're going to compete globally, you need to focus on quality and excellence in your organization. Everything else is ancillary to what you do. So that's what I wanted to cover this week. And remember, there is always a better way.